Heath Campbell is the founder of a New Jersey Nazi group, and he's the father of Adolf Hitler Campbell and also Joycelyn Aryan Nation Campbell, beautiful name. And he showed up to his custody hearing yesterday in full Nazi regalia. Check out this video.
I love my children. I want to be a father. Let me be it. Let me prove to the world that I'm a good father. I've never abused my children. I only name my children, and I don't think it's right anymore.
Do you think the uniform will hurt you in the eyes of the judge and the court?
Well, if they're good judges and they're good people, they'll look within, not on the outside.
Now, what was not mentioned in that story, and really needs to be pointed out, is he's also got the Hitler mustache. That was a nice touch, you know. He went full boat on that.
And he has the giant swastika on his neck.
Yeah,
you know.
which I actually think is very poorly drawn by the tattoo artist.
Yeah, you were having a problem with that earlier.
Yeah, and so I mean, like that's the thing that really bothers me in this story.
This may or may not be a prison tattoo.
Okay. So now here's the interesting part. Like, look, the guy's a lunatic. We all get it, right? Obviously, we couldn't be more against him, literally. But I think I'm going to go ahead and drop it on whether he should get the kids. Go.
I want to be added to that graphic.
One day. You're going to have to earn it.
I'll earn that spot.
Yeah, okay. Well, you are a justice on the court today. Now, look, just for naming the kids, there's no sense that he abused them in any way, and he loves his kids. I don't doubt that. He's insane. Okay, so that's a downside. So on names alone and the fact that he's a Nazi alone, do you take his kids away?
Well, I mean, names alone and the fact that he's a Nazi alone are two very different things. This guy is raising his children to hate, and I see that as a form of child abuse.
But then we get
verbal
into
abuse.
I know, but then and it's really broad. When you say, how about Christians who say, or Muslims, etc.
Well, Richard Dawkins also says that raising your children religious is a form of child abuse, and I kind of agree with that.
Well, you gonna take all the Christian kids away?
That's a difficult thing, right?
Insanity.
How do you implement this? How do you implement
because
this?
you can say, as we just talked about in a different story, if you're picking Leviticus and one phrase in Leviticus or one passage to hate gay people, as they did with minorities, back in the day with the passages about slavery, etc., you can make that argument too. And does it not abridge his freedom of speech? I mean, you should be allowed to be a Nazi, neo-Nazi, any kind of thing, according to the First Amendment.
That's true.
Now, if you say, hey, you're allowed to do that, but we're going to take your kids away, I would argue that that's a very interesting First Amendment case,
I think
at the very least.
The biggest issue here is I don't think I have enough backstory about this particular gentleman. He is the leader of a large Nazi group in Florida. Has he committed any hate crimes? Has he done anything? Maybe he hasn't abused his children directly, but does he have a criminal record of...
but then do you take away every kid?
You do take away children from parents who have strong criminal records, oftentimes.
No, it certainly depends on the situation.
It does. And I think that this is also situational. But you're right. It kind of looks to be the case that they took away his infant son 16 hours after he was born. They took him right from the hospital and put him as a ward of the state simply because he was this guy's son.
Yeah,
and
so
that becomes a difficult
that almost by
question.
Definition seems like they didn't give him a chance with his son. So I'm curious what you guys think. JR.
First of all, Kara, this is the reason you're not on the graphic.
Strong words.
No, you're thinking too deeply into whether or not some background information. We're supposed to go very surface with the Supreme Court.
I see. All right, good.
This is all base.
Okay. Guilty or not guilty? Go.
I recently learned. You gotta go not guilty because you don't know. We don't know what he's gonna do. We do know what he's probably gonna do, and if we take him, then it's first off it's a burden. We know the costs of these type of things, and there's not actual physical or emotional, verbal abuse that we know of. It's hard to, and it sucks, but I think it'll take care of itself. Somebody's ass is gonna get whooped. Maybe they're gonna get a change of mind. Maybe something is gonna happen in their lives. People are raised a certain way sometimes. They end up seeing, quote, the light.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to take it. It's hard.
I think at the end of the day, like what Kara said, if you're breeding hate, you want to eventually end that cycle. So if you're not taking any steps to stop it, I feel like I think this is a good way to start stopping the cycle.
Wow, I didn't see that coming. The Chief Justice says take the kids away. Look, to me, the minute they take the young kid away, as you pointed out, Kara, I think you're saying he's guilty because of his ideas. And I think that that's a tremendous First Amendment problem. And look, once you get to judging how people raise their kids, you know, you're going to really get into the thicket there, man. I mean, we brainwash all our kids, right? So we brainwash them to not eat with their hands, to eat with a fork and knife eventually, to be nice to other people. Now, he's brainwashing them in the hate, but on the other hand, you know, there's so many ethnicities that have issues with other ethnicities. Are they breeding hate?
Well,
I mean, where are you going to draw the line? So I got to say, you know, he's a Nazi and I hate the guy, but not guilty. Give him his kids.
I mean, I think that there are, in this country, it's difficult. There are, you know, sometimes First Amendment, there are issues with the First Amendment. There are exceptions in certain situations. If you go to Germany, if this guy were to walk around like this in Germany, he'd be in prison in 2 seconds. You can't even own kind of Nazi regalia there. You can't say Heil Hitler in the streets. You'll get arrested for it because of the background there. Now, obviously, you know, World War II didn't happen on American soil, but many Americans died in World War II, and many of the descendants of the Jews who were killed in the concentration camps live here now. And I think that it has that same effect on people who live in America many generations later, as it does on certain people who live in Germany. And so obviously, legally, it's really hard to make a decision. I'm glad I'm actually not sitting on this custody panel because it would be hard to make that decision. But ethically, morally, why the hell did he wear the Nazi uniform to court? Did he think that was going to help him?
Well, to him, it's a matter of principle. And look, we let the Nazis march. We're famous for that. We're not like Germany. We let the Nazis exist here. And we beat them with our ideas. So, but I need your ruling officially.
I'm
guilty, not guilty.
I'm not on the graphic.
Okay,
I'm exempt.
No, okay, no, you can abstain. Are you going to abstain?
I'm going to abstain.
You know why I let her abstain? Because then JR and I win.
Damn it.
2-1 against Jesus.
Sorry, Jesus.
Nazi, shockingly, not guilty. Give him his kids back.